Hey, my name is Justin, and I'm here to show you how motorsport is about to change forever. So you want to be a Formula One driver, or maybe you're just a race fan who wants to fulfill a childhood dream. Whatever the case may be, there are some things you should know before purchasing your first go-kart and set out on your journey. Since the beginning of the Formula One, its focus has been to create high-intensity, dangerous racing action, alongside developing technology to improve race vehicles. However, over the last 20 years, there's been a change in the dynamic between the vehicle and driver relationship. The innovation in technology has been granted a more valuable seat in the foundation of the sport rather than the drivers themselves. With technology constantly improving within the F1, it is difficult to believe that any real change can be made to its influence in the sport. To counter this technology takeover, the FIA have banned various technologies such as traction control and anti-lock brake systems in an attempt to put more emphasis on driver skill rather than technological prowess. However, banning selective technologies does little to divert attention back to the driver, with technology still remaining in the driver's seat for Formula One races. Technology maintains the central role in race outcomes as manufacturers and teams are together a greater factor than the driver alone. Experts suggest that machine and team make up 80% of all race outcomes, while the driver themselves only has a 20% influence in the competition. This imbalance is largely due to the excessive spending involved with the development of Formula One vehicles. With technology innovation of such high importance, manufacturers in particular use Formula One to fund and experiment with their latest developments, with the intention of modifying it for consumer vehicles. Some of them are displayed here. Integrating technology that is tried and tested through Formula One for road cars was previously extremely beneficial, but with consumer vehicles moving towards electrification, the expense on current race vehicles is unnecessary, pushing Formula One into an exclusive category of sport. BMW, who had a previous F1 spell themselves, believe F1 innovation today isn't relevant to road vehicles anymore, stating, "From an engineering perspective, I have to say hats off to what they do in Formula One, but the technology has no relevance to the road." So with F1 innovation slowly decreasing in relevance, is the cost of racing justified anymore? Well, whether it's research, travel expenses, or corporate entertainment, teams have become accustomed to large budgets, with some spending $290 million in a single season. Hence, often teams look for drivers based on the financial backing they come with. Consequently, this proves damaging to creating fresh and engaging competition due to the lack of diversity in the Formula One, with the price of getting into the sport often proving an obstacle for those with financially disadvantaged backgrounds. So if you want to be an F1 driver, you should ask yourself if you're able to afford it. Unfortunately though, if you do need to ask yourself, then already the chances are you can't. Formula One is pricing children out of the sport, with even the most talented drivers having to spend anywhere between 7 to 10 million to progress their racing careers to the highest level. This progression begins with karting, the training ground for all the world's greatest drivers, including Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton, with Lewis possibly being the last successful driver from a working class background. However, there are 4 levels within motorsport you must go through before making it to Formula One. Karting begins your journey with the average spend accumulating to 1 million over 10 years of racing. Formula 4 is next with a spend of 400,000, followed by 1.6 million in F3. And if you've still made it this far, you'll be staring at another 1.5 million for F2, and finally, at least $3 million investment to race on the F1 grid. Sadly, this incredible amount of money, as you can imagine, is unattainable for most drivers, and the burden usually falls to their families, who are forced to generate these large sums. This is the exact situation that applies to racing prodigy Emily Linscott, an extremely talented 17-year-old driver currently competing in Formula 4. However, with aspirations to elevate her career to F3, her family alone isn't capable of affording the leap. Talent schemes and sponsorships are offered by teams, but a common misconception is these are easy to attain for the talented individuals. In some cases this is true, but often these funding programs aren't a free ride. Formula E driver Mitch Evans explains that he was offered several funding deals, but to join these junior schemes, Evans still was required to provide money. Therefore, even with sponsorships, motorsport drivers still need to pay to be there. So how might we create a more accessible motorsport career pathway while maintaining driver significance in racing through design? To understand the right solution to this, I wanted to attempt and experience the typical journey beginnings of a driver and looked into building my own go-kart. The process was surprisingly straightforward from start to finish, but there was a key aspect which drove the remainder of my design project. What I realized was that before bringing the kart together in its final stage, I had 3 separate areas completely assembled: rear, mid, and front chassis, all independent of each other. So what if these sections came pre-assembled and possibly adaptable based on the race it would feature in? DIY karts are not considered professional race vehicles by any means, but maybe they could be. A DIY build would essentially be a much cheaper solution to race progression, and with the possibility of improving its potential to suit different tier levels, would accordingly preserve its cheaper price point. Hence, I focused my creative work around designing a DIY racer that suited a high-level competition while also presenting a cheaper career progression pathway. I experimented with adaptable chassis that could form to suit the different racing categories and evolved this to capture more of my kart build experience by creating a vehicle that could be easily split into 3 areas. The front, mid, and rear of the vehicle could all be separate items that come together to create the final vehicle. This style of kit could be adapted upon and grow with the driver as they progress into the higher racing categories. For the development of the design, I was inspired by a theme sketch that showcased a strong dynamic body that clasps onto the front and rear sections of the racer, that specifically exemplified the 3 zones of the vehicle. This theme sketch drove further development and later the refinement of the design to focus on these 2 modules front and rear, clamped by a modern aerodynamic body. So I want to introduce you to GR Formula Driver, Motorsport's new kit-based racing championship. Formula Driver will serve as the new racing benchmark for the world's greatest and most talented drivers, male and female, where competitors will all be required to use the same kit to take them through their race career. The kit mainly consists of 2 distinct modules: the front module, which guides the steering, while the rear module contains in-wheel electric motors that drive the vehicle. These modules will enable drivers to construct their own chassis to suit their own size and personality while they develop their careers in the early stages. As the career of the driver develops into the higher levels, the modules themselves remain the same, with power being electronically controlled to suit their current level. This means drivers can progress with their same module kit throughout their Formula Driver journey up until the final championship, dramatically reducing costs usually associated with the changing of vehicles. Each module is designed with simplicity in mind that makes installation effortless, with the top and bottom bolt-on connection. Due to being an electric product, there's no need for any physical cabling, making the custom build process even easier. This same level of customization can be seen with the steering wheel, where similarly to Formula 1, drivers can utilize their own custom grips to ensure the right fitment to suit their racing needs. The screen itself displays the most relevant information to assist the driver, however, without any added functionality that gives them a technological edge against their opponents. The design of the Formula Driver body aims to symbolize the coming together of future technology innovations while also maintaining motorsport's purest original form, creating motorsport's new design direction. GR Formula Driver creates a new career pathway for any aspiring race drivers or even just race fans of the sport. Formula 4 and Formula 3 are considered the stepping stones to getting sponsorships and most favoured route to F2 and F1. However, the rising costs of these in-between series is excessive and unnecessary for those looking to elevate their career. Due to the lack of exposure these series get, this makes it increasingly difficult to acquire sponsors to even progress to F2. Therefore, through Formula Driver, drivers now have the opportunity to not only progress into professional racing formats quicker, but with a much bigger emphasis on their own driving ability rather than the money they can use to progress. Formula Driver aims to be the main source of finding talented drivers in the future. To allow this new Formula Driver ecosystem to function and increase exposure and visibility, FD will be governed through a mobile app. So if you have a phone, you're in luck, as that's all you'll need to get your modules going and begin racing. By simply logging in and wirelessly connecting your phone to your modules, will sync your data and create your driver profile. All your key stats from speed to lap times, place finishes, and so on will be recorded to the Formula Driver app platform. As drivers are expected to grow with the modules as they progress, their learning of attending to their system improves as well. In the case of any damaged areas to your modules in race events or practice, the mobile app can guide you through the replacement process for any parts that need changing, as well as general maintenance, allowing you to also learn and understand your Formula Driver kit. To gain public exposure for drivers, and as a way to bring the entire racing community closer together, The app will allow you to connect to drivers around the world, all in pursuit of the same journey, while also linking you to teams and scouts searching for the next big talent to bring to the championship stage. Now I know you want to go out, get your Formula Driver kit and begin your racing career, but before you get too excited, let me leave you with a short trailer and hopefully I'll see you fulfill that dream one day. Thank you.